Good morning and welcome to Developer Study Group number 6. It is a pleasure to be with you all here this morning. I'm looking forward to diving into the checkout again. And I think this will be our last time as we discuss the checkout, as we kind of investigate what it's all about and all that stuff. So yes, it's going to be a bit of another deep dive in here, but that's going to be okay because ultimately as we are preparing for the expert developer certification or the professional developer certification, it kind of requires some deep dives, right? It kind of requires getting in and knowing this stuff really well. And the reason I've chosen to look at checkout, and we looked at EAV and we looked at admin HTML so much, is because those are the sections of the test that people get the lowest marks on. And if I can bring those sections up, even by a few questions, that very well could mean the difference between passing and failing. And yeah, I want everybody to have a pass grade here for this certification. And just as a final reminder, this is going to be our last study group for a while. I don't know if I'll do another one this year. If you all want another study group or a series of study groups, let me know. I'm always open to doing that. But my goal is to start going into monthly training. So we would have, say, the first Saturday of every month is when we get together and do some training about, pick a Magento topic, and we would dive into that. So, yes, it's great to see everybody joining here. Welcome, Bargav, Jerome, Muhammad Wasim. It's good to have you all here. As you can tell, and I apologize, I don't know what it is. Post-COVID, I have gotten so many colds. It's like literally, I thought last year was really good. Like, these from the head cold perspective, I just never had any last year. I don't think I had. Maybe I had one around Christmas time, and it was really nice being kind of free from that. And then jumping into 2021, I don't know. I've had 3 or 4 already this year, and it's kind of been miserable. So, but I'm doing good today. But you'll notice that I sound a little nasal and all that stuff. So, yeah, it won't affect our live stream today, except you might hear me cough or something occasionally. All right, well, it's good to see everybody here. Welcome. Come on in. It's we'll be getting started here. I want to just remind you, I think I talked about this last week, so I won't belabor the point. But the Mastering Xdebug for E-commerce that's a free course that I put out a week or 2 ago, and people have been loving it. I've been just incredibly surprised as far as the reception that it has. So that's incredibly exciting. The other thing is, you know what? Let me just give you a sneak preview. I have never given everybody a preview like this, and I see there's just a few of you on here, which is great because I will give you a preview of my new book that is coming out. In fact, we just sent it to the printer yesterday, and so, boy, am I excited about it because I believe this will revolutionize solving problems, just period. Like it's going to revolutionize this. And here, let me just show you. This is the overview here. I had to get it loaded up here. Now let me just disappear here for a second. This is the overview of the book. And so I'll be putting out a free sample of it. But my goal is that this book is about as fun to read as is absolutely possible. I don't want this to be a boring book at all. In fact, you'll notice here, it says find the bug. There is, I know you have plenty of time, but and to do this kind of stuff, but one of these dots is actually a bug. So when you get it printed, you'll be able to sort through that. So put comics at the beginning of every chapter, and I try to write it in a way that's very approachable, very easy to understand. And so I'm just really, really excited to share this with you all. So it's going to press. Actually, it was just sent to press yesterday, and we'll probably have it back late June or release it early July, somewhere in there. And my goal is to offer it for $40 with free shipping anywhere in the world. Now, if you run the numbers, I'm not making much off of this at all. But my goal is to equip you to be successful in your endeavors. and this is one way I can do it. And so it's an experiment for me. I've never done a hard copy edition, and so we'll see. It could be a complete epic failure, but I just have this gut feeling it's what people need. It's what you all need. So, anyways, I don't want to belabor this point, but I'm super excited about this in general. So, anyways, yes, absolutely cool. All right, well, enough of that. All right, so we are talking about checkout, and there is a lot of information related to checkout. Just actually as a quick side note, one aspect of that book project that I'm working on is a course for the book. And the idea of the course is to help give you practical experience in quickly and effectively solving problems. And to facilitate that, I am building out. So remember the Magento sample data, and we can easily install it. We get it and easily install it. This is going to be a sample data project with legit, real, live sample data. It's taken from a website that, and I've transformed it, so I'm not identifying anybody or anything, but it is real, more or less real-time data for which you can work with. And so I think working with checkout, understanding checkout in the context of real live data is going to make understanding it a lot easier, as opposed to the Magento sample data, which it's better than worthless, but they're only having two orders in there. There's not a huge amount of troubleshooting that you can get in there and do. So, all right, let's talk about this. This is on the professional developer. We kind of addressed this last week. How do you customize the shipment step of order management? We looked at how to actually look at we looked at the actual shipment step of order management. There's not much there to customize. So what I took the opportunity to do is to understand how we can send extra information to the front end in association with the shipping steps. So if I come into, do I not have anything in my cart? Let's see here. Of course, my computer's a little bit slow this morning. Shoot. Okay. I did not add anything to my cart yet. Okay. On the checkout step at the bottom of the first page, right, you have your shipping methods. And so I don't know. I feel like it's a missing feature. It's a really good idea to add just in general. We want to have the capability to show, here's how long it takes for your order to arrive, or here's a little description for this. So instead of trying to finagle the carrier title or the shipping method title to say this, we maybe want some customization over that. And so how do we return this information to the front end? We explored using, here we go, extension attributes. So we created extension attributes. I'll walk you through this process. So we hydrated additional details into there, and we were able to send it back to the front end. And it would be a very easy thing to customize beyond this. But again, that's approaching it from the professional developer standpoint. And so ultimately, the professional developer test doesn't have a huge amount of checkout information on it, but it doesn't matter, because I hope and I perceive that every one of you who is going for professional developer probably, or at least should, have your sights set on expert developer. And well, let me just put it this way: in my experience, helping a lot of people get certified, if you get probably an 80 to 90% on the professional developer test, formerly associate developer test, you will pretty much pass the expert developer test. It wouldn't hurt to spend a couple additional weeks of intense study, kind of going through the stuff that we're going through here today. That would be a good idea. But in general, you have a really, really good shot once you get 80 to 90% on the professional developer test. So all that said, we are working together to be able to get you past these tests. Let me just, there we go. Trying to make that. I'm working to go 4K, honestly, on our video streams here. So I haven't been able to pull the trigger yet on that, but that is coming. And when I do that, I won't have to be so small with my window and so careful with my screen real estate. Anyways, so let's look at this. So we've addressed this. You are tasked with calculating a custom price for a product. How do you do this? So ultimately, we were getting into last week how to, well, this all involves with collect totals. How does this work together? We have not officially nailed down how this works yet. So that's my goal. So we're going to start in here today. We're going to look at represent product, and then we're hopefully going to have time to work through the place order process. Because again, there's a lot of value to understanding how all this works. Okay. Any questions, actually, before we dive in? Any questions here? And also, I'm keen to know your feedback. I am actively working to upgrade my video studio look. Like I said, I mentioned last week, I purchased some new equipment, and so it's a work in progress. There's a lot of things that I am by no means a video professional. So I always appreciate your thoughts or how you think this is looking. It's a work in progress. It is not done yet, but always appreciate your thoughts here. Any questions before we dive in here? If not, all right, well, let's jump in. If you have questions, we'll still take a moment to answer them. All right, let's look at how to set a custom price for this. So what I did here to accelerate this process, hopefully you know already how to write plugins, how to use event observers, etc., etc. Yes. Okay, let me just quickly jump into this. This was a decision I had to make. Actually, when I started out writing this method here, I started with an event observer, and then I switched over to a plugin. Why was that? The event observer is the way I look at it, and this is probably just a little call it pet peeve of mine, but I look at event observers as something that can happen asynchronously and something that can happen in the background that does not affect current execution flow. Whether or not that's right or not, it's up to you guys. Each one personally decide whether they want to look at it that way. The other thing that stood out to me here as I started into writing it as an event observer and switched over to a plugin is with an event observer, we have, I'm just going to throw this up here. We have, event observer interface here, observer, and then we would have to say quote equals observer get data quote. Well, then if I want this to be type hinted, I have to do quote or something like that. That's 2 extra lines that I really don't have to deal with. There's really no reason to deal with this. Whereas if I use a plugin, and ideally, let's see here. Ideally, this is type hinted as well. So this is type hinted. This is forced to be a quote. I can just use a plugin, and voila, this is type hinted as it comes in here. In fact, I could probably even enforce, if I wanted to, a return type too. I think that would be quote. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, that would be. That's right, because it has to return either null or a quote. And one thing to remember, I don't return anything here, which is probably fine, but it's best to return something. If you look at the interceptors, let's see here. Let's just do this. Interceptor. Doesn't matter, any interceptor. Call plugins. Okay. You'll notice this very important piece of function, or this very important line here. If before result is unequal to null, oops. Oh, come on. Arguments are equal to the array, converted to casting to an array at the before result. So if you pass in null, though, the values are not changed, which, remember, for scalar return types, this is important. You want to return those. But for an object, even if we modify the object, it doesn't matter. We can always return null. And this has a future compatibility idea in mind. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if this is on the test. So I hope you're paying attention. Anytime we affect arguments or argument order, the value of arguments, we have created a before plugin that obviously takes into account arguments. We run into the risk, and especially with third-party modules who are not as constrained to the API constraints, I guess is the best way to put it. Anytime we can avoid changing those, unless it's scalar, If it's an object, anytime we can avoid changing those, the better. So returning null on a before plugin is the best way to do it. The best way to do it. So if there's other, if you have to, great. Return the values to change the final parent method. But if you can avoid it, always send return null. So anyways, what I did here, I pulled out a recent example of a custom price that I have built recently, and I have adapted in this situation. It's going to be quite fictitious. We have a price of 2. The setting is skew to be something. We're going to change this out here. Actually, let's just do this. And actually, this is funny. I keep thinking of these side notes to tell you guys. I have more and more been avoiding referencing products based off of their ID and more based off of their SKU. And ultimately, that was a cue taken from the MSI or the Magento inventory modules. It's all referencing SKU. And I don't know, I find it much more intuitive to work with. And so, in fact, in a lot of I should probably just put this class out for everybody to use, like a utility. I should actually create a utility module. There's a number of utilities that I use all the time. But I actively convert between entity ID or row ID for commerce and SKU back and forth. I don't think it really affects performance much at all, but it sure makes the development aspects of that a lot easier. Okay. Nia, if we want to show order summary on the checkout page per item. Yep, let's take a look at that here at the end. So if you hang on, we'll get to the end and we'll talk about that. Cool. All right, so let's look at how this custom price works really quick, and we can go from there. So you can see my remnants, my battle scars, of making sure this plugin works, because I didn't want to waste you guys' time. Okay. We'll talk about represent product here in a minute. Okay. Before collect, we have items in the cart. Okay. So our item here has a SKU. Oopsie. Okay. SKU of this. Copy value. Set value. And this is, again, I hope you're seeing just how valuable XDebug is. I talked to somebody this week, and they were like, no, I don't use XDebug. I just use var dump and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, I didn't specifically say this in that context. It wasn't my place to say then, but I was just thinking, dude, you are so missing out. Like, the information we have here, and ultimately I posted a 60 seconds to save you 60 minutes in the next year, and it's talking about this very thing, using your debugger as they call a heads-up display in the future. So that's pretty cool. Okay. All right. So if our SKU isn't equal to this, and now this is a slight side note for programming, a software development idea. Cyclomatic complexity. It is a big code smell when I'm reviewing other people's code, or my code, for example. If we start pushing the tab character in, the more we push that in, it's usually a code smell. And so what I like to, it's kind of a silly comparison, but I like to talk about it in relation to relationships. For example, if you're looking to date somebody, wouldn't you rather find out that this person is a bit of a scumbag before you get into a really good relationship with them? Or would you rather spend a year or two with them and have their true colors finally come out? Well, that's an obvious answer, right? So in this case, that's the kind of the idea I use to look at this. As quickly as I can say no in a method, the better, or in any kind of context. So we have a for each here. If this SKU isn't equal to the SKU that I want to work with, I just run continue. Otherwise, all of this code here would be indented even further. So save yourself the effort. Say no as quickly as possible, and I'll be saying a little bit more about that too. But say no as quickly as possible, and let's get out of here. All right, so let's step over here. All right, so basically setting a custom price is fairly easy. We have to make sure we get these values set here. Now, what I'm doing here is I have the old custom price. So I want to see if this value was set previously. And if it was set previously, then I am going to save it. Is this 100% necessary? Possibly not, but I've just found that it makes life easier to work with in the form of we're avoiding it being overridden possibly later. For example, if it was, we might set it on the item in memory now, but if for some reason it was loaded from the database at some later point and then saved, we're kind of in trouble. So I like to set the value, and this doesn't happen all the time, but in this specific case of quote items, I like to do it here. So we go set this price, and you'll notice if the prices are not equal and the item has an ID, we save it. So I don't want to be saving it all the time, and I don't want to preemptively save it. Again, we got to keep performance in mind. But if there is a difference, and you'll see that did not trigger it this last time. The other thing I do to help performance is you'll notice I'm using the quote item resource. I don't know if there is a quote item repository, but usually using the resource is less resource intensive, if I could say that. So anyways, we have set our our custom price. Now let's go search for where this is used in the code base, and we'll set a breakpoint there and we'll catch it later. Okay. These are more or less the definitions of it. Okay, so it has original custom price. So we're going to drop this a breakpoint here. Quote item processor if is empty. Let's see here. Prepare. Okay, so it looks like it's going to copy it over. Okay. And actually, I'm just going to drop this out there. This is a great resource. So if you look in the admin panel, I'm not going to take the time to do that right now. If you go to the admin panel, create an order, you'll notice there's a checkbox next to every item, and that checkbox says custom price. If you are struggling with how to create a custom price, hopefully I'm answering that here for you quite easily. But if you were struggling with how to do that, one place to go, the number one thing to do is say, where does Magento do this? Many times Magento does provide you this context, and if they do, use it. So in this case, we can probably decipher that from the custom price that is set in that is in the Magento admin grid. Okay. So we're going to run through this, and then it's going to call the quote total collectors. Let's see here. Quote total factor create. Oops, I need to show you my screen. Get total collectors. And I'm going to just, because last week I did not have the ability to quickly run through how sort order works in this. And I'm going to drop a couple breakpoints here just so that you can see how this works. Hopefully, oh, nope, I missed it this time. Okay, let's add another product to the cart. Okay, that was a sneeze, and I did not want you to have to hear that in the mic. Okay, all right. Okay, so init model instance. Let's back up. So the idea here, what we need to do is we need to understand how these totals are instantiated. So we just saw before the collect, and we were able to set our custom price. And I think that's probably the best place to set a custom price. You could do it when you're adding to the cart, but there might be something that would happen to override it in the process. And so if we can avoid that, that's the best thing to do. And again, all right, so I want to quickly review this sort orders and how that works. So init model instance, we have, okay, in our collector, quote address total collector, you can see the namespace right here. We have our collector. And in there, we have a constructor, init models, init collectors, init retrievers. All right, so every one of this is initialized. I don't think there's any sort order that is involved here. Let's, oh, yes, there is. So I'm glad we're going to Okay. So you'll notice for every total, we have an instance, a sort order, and renders. So let's copy this value and let's see where it is used in the code base. And we see it is used right here. So group name is totals. So this is the sales.xml. Group name is totals. And we have our different instances here. So we have, for example, tax. Yep, that's fine. Tax is the instance is our tax collector. That doesn't sound very good. Tax collector. And then we have our sort order is 450, and we have two renders, whether we one for admin HTML, one for the front end. And that's pretty much how it continues for each one of these. So that's all good. So the next question, though, is how does this sort order come in here? Because somehow the sort order was not specified in here, so we could always do item name as subtotal. We could search for this in the code base. Okay, maybe it is set in a different module or something like that, but I don't think so. I do not think so. So let's back up and see, because I happen to know or believe. Let's see here. I'm going to drop a breakpoint here. We'll quit this exploration here. We'll start into another one. We have all these skeleton adding to cart here all over the place. All right. All right, it's totals, the sales config, get group totals. We're going to step in. Data container get path quote totals. Quote totals, subtotal. So it looks like the sort order is already specified in there. Okay. I thought it was specified somewhere else, and I think we will find that eventually. But let's keep going through this slowly, because that is one of the biggest challenges. Well, it's a common challenge I run into, is that I do a little too fast, and then I run into problems because I skipped the one that I needed. And that kind of stinks. Okay. Here's what I was looking for. Sorts. Okay. So we see scope config get value, the path here. Now notice the path. I think you all should be able to see that. The path is sales/totals sort. Normally, when we think of using scope config get value, we think of using this to with three values. I can't remember the terms exactly. It was a section and group and field. But you don't have to do that. Section and group is all you need. And actually, maybe you can just do here. Let's try this. Remember, being created or being what's the term? Curious is one of the most important aspects to those who pass the test or fail it. So let's just try get value, and we'll drop in sales. And you'll notice we get all the values inside sales when we do this. So that can be a helpful thing. All right, but you'll notice, and this is where the tests are incredibly tricky, is they don't always ask you questions about the code. They ask you questions about the admin panel. They ask you questions about how to customize things in store configuration. There we go again. They ask you questions about store configuration. And so how do you do that? And it comes through being familiar with all aspects of this and an incredible attention to detail in the code. That attention to detail is seen right here. Okay, we have sort orders. So that is found in sales/total sort. Let's see if my session will allow me to do this. Have the session locked up on the front end, but I think it'll work on the back end. I could be wrong. All right, we'll just step through this anyways. So either way, we have our sort orders, and we have our total code, etc. Yes, it does work. Okay, so sales, I think it's under sales. Yep, and then totals sort. Nope, right here. Okay. So, in other words, in order to add a new total, what you can do is also, we'll use obviously specified in the sales.xml file, but you can also add a value into scope configuration or admin HTML system.xml to be able to have this, to be able to add a new, just to allow the admin to customize the sort order. And again, this is particularly helpful because in some cases, tax is calculated on shipping. In other cases, it's not. So this would be a way to affect those changes. All right. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk to you about there. Let's just force run a cursor. We can see this retrievers. We can see they're all sorted properly. Yeah. Okay. Let's let that run. Next thing on the agenda. Perfect. Right there. Jumped right there to it. Actually, let's get past this. I don't want to deal with that right at this second. We'll drop this here. We'll deal with that later. I set all these breakpoints and then I start causing myself problems because I get too many breakpoints going. Okay, maybe we're good to go again. Great. Nice. All right, so let's go add another large orange jack shirt. Excuse me. These are some really well-named products. Another large orange jack shirt to the cart. Because if you're like me, jack shirt sure sounds like another word that I try not to say. All right. We have represent product. What the heck is represent product? Well, let's look at the call stack here. And I believe represent product's discussion is on the test. So we are adding a product to the cart. We talked about this last week. This cart add product. Yep. All that makes sense. But quote add product. Go in here. All right. So we saw the cart candidates. But then we have this get item by product. And then after that comes in, if there is no item, then it creates a new item. Otherwise, looks like it just adds it in. All right, so where does this represent product have to do with all of this idea? Okay, get item by product. This get all items as items. So it's running, and this is on the quote. So it's iterating through all the items on the quote, and it's saying, hey, if this item represents this product. In other words, if this is the same, here's what we do. Represent product is right here. So if item this get product, if there's no product or no item, or if the IDs do not match, return false. Okay, we'll see if I have to run this again. But this happens for every item that is currently in the cart. What happens is we have our product that we are adding to the cart. Then we have all the items in the quote, and it's basically saying, hey, is the item that's being added to the cart, is that the same as any one of the items in the cart? And if it is, we want to more or less increment the quantity of this item in the cart. This item here in the cart, we want to increment the quantity of it, as opposed to adding a new row into the cart. And this is a very important function to understand because, case in point, we are working with a merchant right now who what they're doing is they are creating it's actually kind of another hierarchy in the cart. So in the cart, you have, you could have some hierarchy like a configurable product and the simple product that's associated with it. Well, in the case of this merchant, they are grouping those products based off of another level. And basically it's a level of it's a customizable level. So you can order these products with specific customizations on those products to be, and then this company will print on these products or that sort of thing. And we had to then add in this extra level. So you can have a configurable product and a child under this one specification, and then you should be able to have it again under another specification as well. So we had to go in here and customize how represent product worked. Normally, as we will see here, I'm going to set it down here. And I think I'll have to add that to the cart again. I don't think I went through the process fully when I was doing that earlier. Yep, that added to the cart, so we're going to try it again. Basically, I had to get in and I had to adjust how this represent product work. So we'll see that if the product is not set, or the product or the item ID item product does not equal. So basically, it's comparing products here. If those don't equal, it's going to return false, and these products do not match. So represent product really returns a Boolean value. We could literally say bool. Well, it should be bool. I don't remember if it returns. Yeah, it returns true or false. Yes. So it returns Boolean. Return false means that this product does not match. Return true means this product does match. So, okay. So, we have some customization already built in, or some filtering built in to understand, are these the same products? And thank you. And we can customize, we can add after plugin or an around, I guess, if you want to do that, to be able to customize it even further. And that's what I did in this specific situation. So stick with product, parent stick within product. I wonder what that means. To be frank, I don't know. I do not know what stick within parent. Oh, but we have a help here. Check maybe product is planned to be the child of some quote item. In this case, we limit search only within some parent item. Okay, stick within parent. Let's just do a quick search to the code base to see. All right, that was the one we were already in. Okay, stick within parent candidate, get parent product ID. Or no, stick within product. I'm not 100% sure. I see this in the test, but I'm not 100% sure. I think basically you could set that to be true, and ultimately that might be a before plugin if you wanted this to. Oh, actually, there you go. That might work, although I don't know if this would represent the parent configurable product either. So yeah, I don't think that would have that would not. I don't think be useful in the case that I was working on it. Yeah, I don't think it was. Okay. All right, so get item options, get product options, and item options. So we have by request, we have the attributes. I think this is the child product. No, this is the child product information. Then we have product quantity, and we have also product options. Apologize again. All right, so we have these two. It's going to compare the options. It looks like it compares it both directions. And I see compare options is a public method, so it's available for plugins. So it says if in array this not represent options is by request, info by request, it does not matter. I don't think we can customize that anywhere. Let's just go double check. Yep, can't customize that. Okay. We could override the class, but that would not be a good idea to do that. Okay, yeah, okay, by request. And basically, it's just checking to see if these option values are the same. So that's what represent product does. It checks to make sure to see if there is a match within it for an item in the cart. And you can use this to customize whether you want to make matching looser or more restrictive in the cart. So that is a good piece of learning to do there. Let's step out and return item. So you'll see that this represent product returned true. Yes, we do have a match in the cart, and it's going to return that item. We have this item set here, and add quantity. And that was what I was looking for, because obviously if you have an item already in the cart, you want to You don't want, and you add another item and it does match the original item, you want to add to that quantity in the cart. And again, that's where that represent product comes in, and it is incredibly important. Okay. Oh, and one thing you can notice is that if there's the request here, let's see here. So if the request data, what comes in, I think this is from our post request. Yep. You'll notice it basically takes the post request and turns that into the Magento data object. If there's a custom price set in there, then it's going to use that custom price, which honestly, I find that very interesting because I have not specifically tested this, but it sure seems a way that anybody can get any price for whatever they want in a Magento, in a cart. So that, I haven't tested it, but it would be quite fascinating if that was true. It does not appear that there is, and I'm looking through the places where this is used. It does not appear as if there is any prohibition for that. So that would be an interesting little Easter egg for Magento stores. Not necessarily an ideal one. Okay. One other thing we're going to touch on really quickly before we dive into placing an order is, we're going to come into the cart here, do an edit cart, is how these sales rules are applied. So I put a sales rule in here. Oh, come on. We have our actions. Okay, actually, I need to call this out because this is really, really important to a good number of the tests. I can't remember. Well, certainly it's not on front end or JavaScript or order management for sure, but it's I think it might be on professional and expert too. I can't remember exactly. So, let's see here. Oopsie, boy, these breakpoints. Okay, the difference between conditions and action conditions. So if you look at this, we have apply the rule only to cart items matching the following conditions, and apply the rule only if the following conditions are met. Now, just by glancing over this, we might say, well, Joseph, what's the difference? Well, if we read the title carefully, we will come up with a difference. And the idea is whether or not this rule is applied, or, well, the first one is can the rule be applied or not? Let's say we want to offer free shipping for all items under 2 pounds in a given store. So we could come in here and we would say product subselection. If the no, we'll not do this. Actually, the easiest here, I saw this in the list, drop down list. If the total weight is equals or less than 2 pounds. Or I think there's a way to do this with products. Product attribute combination. And we can customize these here, and we can just go find, I'm sure, weight. No, weight is not in this list. But we could go easily make it part of this list. And this is another important thing to remember in going to stores, product, weight, let's see here. It's under storefront properties, I think. Using for promo rule conditions set to yes. Very important thing to remember. We'll save and continue edit. We will refresh this. Okay, so now we can actually, let's just use that as an example. Product attributes combination. And weight is equal or less than, oopsie, come on. 1, or actually that'd be 2 pounds. All right, so in this way we would have, it would work, right? Wrong. Why this would not work is, what if we have a product in the cart that is 4 pounds? So this would basically make the rule completely not apply. So we don't want to use this. There is cases we would want to use this. We could, and I think it's usually in the form of aggregate. So if we would have the total, the subtotal is greater than greater than $100 for free shipping, right? Something like that would work just fine. 1 second here. Okay, so if the subtotal is greater than $100, we get free shipping. Easy enough. Okay, so that's what this conditions is really designed for. But I'm going to show you this apply to only the cart items matching. This is really important because we can now say for all items matching having a weight is equal or less than 2. And now we offer free shipping, unless you're free shipping for matching items only. We now offer free shipping for all items that are 2 pounds or less. So that is really important to remember. With that in mind, I'm still going to offer a free shipping. Yeah, let's just continue with this. We also are going to give them free shipping. So not only 10% off, but it's also free shipping. That's a pretty good deal. And remember, for all items that are over 2 pounds, they don't get their 10% off and they don't get free shipping on it. In fact, the way it calculates this is, if we were to go, okay, this is, I did not prepare for this at all. So this is winging it here. But I think it's under shipping model. I think carrier, abstract carrier. I think it's free shipping. Request get free shipping. Okay, I think this. So this is update free method quote. I'm just going to search here. I think that's the right one, but I'm just going to double check. Free. Let's see. Oh, abstract carrier online. There we go. Okay. Let's now search for free, because ultimately it's an online carrier that we're worried about. Okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Great. Okay, unfortunately, I don't have a carrier loaded in, so I can't necessarily demonstrate this to you. But if we have, if the child is not set for free shipping, or if in other words, if it is set for free shipping, it does not get added to the quote, i.e. how much the total weight is for these products. It's just not added to that. So, yeah, we're able to just get the free shipping. So we're free shipping whether or not the item is set for that. So that's pretty nice. And ultimately, we can also take this a step further, and we can search. I think sales rules should do this. Let's see here. I'm not seeing a sales rule. Let's do this, just a search in the Magento code base. It'll probably have a little few more than we're hoping for, but that's okay. Get free shipping. Okay, that's for the address. I don't think that's for the item itself. That's for just the whole request. Whether we're going to offer free shipping for the entire request. Child free shipping, virtual. Okay. I'm not saying off the top of my head, but yeah, so ultimately we can set a child to be free shipping, and that works great too. All right, so let's see how this discount is applied in the in the shopping cart. Apply discount code. Oops, I should have copied this out. Let's grab it here. Oh, there's no coupon. Okay, now let's do it. Use a specific coupon just to make sure it gets applied. Okay, let's see here. Test. Shopping cart. Apply discount. It's loading up. There we go. So I have our I have a discount, or I have a breakpoint set here for our discount. Let's step in here. The parent collect total doesn't really do anything. Okay, or just resets values. Okay, so nope, that's right. This is our billing. I think has no items associated with it. Okay. Calculator net, and I'm not going to go too deep into this. Feel free to, for you in your own time, to go into this deeply. But basically, we have our calculator. We initialize the calculator. Did we talk about this last week? This is actually looking familiar. And it totals. I don't think we did, actually. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just going to run through it here real quick. I suggest that it'd be best if you took your own time to work through this. Make sure that you're familiar with it yourself. Okay, actually, I have 10 more minutes left. I'm not going to worry about this much more, but that's the place to start. And let me just share with you all in the comments. And that is where you find that's where you get access to start your discovery there. I really want to get to the place of showing you how the order is placed. And again, this is really important to step through this process. And I will save you the time. Let's see here. Oopsie, web API.xml. Okay, oopsie, I think it's actually checkout. Wrong module. Web API, okay. Shipping information, no, not shipping information. Total information, it's very funny. Guest place order with payment information saving. Okay, so this is guest payment method. Okay, okay. Here's the really funny thing, my friends, is the name for placing an order for the web request. Route for the web request to place an order is payment information. But you click into this. Actually, we can click into it here. Save payment information and place order. That's what we're hoping for, right? So we'll drop a breakpoint here. I think that'll be good. So yeah, this is where we're going to quickly step through the process for saving an order. And there's a lot that goes into this. We won't have like all the time in the world to be able to do that, but this will be good. A good overview, at least for now. Yeah, save information and place order. Yes. Yeah, let's quickly run through this. Okay, shipping method. Oh, great. There's no quotes. Okay, well, we can fix that here pretty quickly. I'm into shipping methods. And flat rate. Nope, said it's enabled. Oh, that's interesting. Free shipping. Oh, we'll just enable free shipping. That might solve the problem too. Okay, so we'll try this again. And great. This is wonderful. Let's refresh. Let's try again. I was not anticipating this. Estimate shipping methods. All right. We got a 404 not found card ID of this. Okay, so let's jump in and let's go troubleshoot this. So guest carts, estimate shipping methods. So let's go search in our Magento code base for estimate shipping methods. We have the ability to dive in and understand. It's all about learning, debugging, estimate for extended address. Oh, I think I know maybe what's going on here. Okay. Now, here's a little trick that I do all the time. So I come into Network Inspector, copy as curl. We can load it into Postman if you want. I'm just going to load it into my terminal here. And it sure makes it easier. But now, remember, we have to think about what changed. Why would this not work? And I think the reason it would not work is we maybe have a bug here. Let's see here. So I see that the orange, the yellow, or the red. Yep. Okay. So it gets to our breakpoint here. We hydrate those rows. Quote get active. Okay. That seemed to work okay. So what is our result? We have 3 shipping methods. Well, that's positive. Well, that's weird. Why is it running it twice? Okay. Well, we're just going to axe this section right here. There might be something else that's weird that's going on there. So we're just going to axe that. And we're going to run this again. Actually, I'm not even going to run it again. I'm just going to try changing this value here. It'll trigger our estimate shipping methods again. There we go. Bingo. Okay, so we always want to review the code that we've written, as that could be causing the problem. All right. So, table rate, we're going to choose that. That's 0. And place order. If I'm wrong, then we are going to get it's going to be a long run around to go do that again. But turns out I was right, which was nice. Okay, save payment information. Yes, it does. But now we're going to place the order. And to be clear, we use just check and money order. It's much more advanced if we have a credit card that uses the gateway configuration Magento. Place order. What happens when we place an order in Magento? All right, now this is guest cart management, loading the cart, like we talked about last week with the quote ID mask. Place order. Of course, we have plugins for that. We got an around. Okay, so this here looks like order cancellation. This is module Braintree. This is basically to make sure that if there is a problem with adding to the cart, it gracefully degrades out of this. So, okay, I understand that. Now we're going to place the order. We're now into the parent method. So we get quote get active. It's going to check it. It's going to collect the totals. If the checkout method is guessed, it's going to set some information on there. The remote address was the IP address that this order came from. That's important as well. We do have a event here. Okay, orders this submit. And these methods are important to know because when we're building in functionality, it's probably important to make sure that this functionality happens at a certain place in the order in the order life cycle. So we want to make sure if we are placing the order that it is we maybe want certain checks to happen before, certain checks to happen afterwards. Okay, let's see here. Quote, get all visible items. So if there's no visible items in there, it's going to throw an error as well. And I ran into this. I can't remember when, but yes, this is definitely an issue I've run into. Okay, submit quote. So we validate the quote. The customer is not a guest, then we're going to associate with a customer account. Quote, reserve order ID. So basically we're saying this order, well, let's step in real quick here. Get resource, get reserved order ID. Sequence manager, get sequence, next value. Okay, now I think we're on to how to change these values for how to change the order IDs. And that also is a very important thing for any Magento developer to know. Okay, load by entity type and store. This is coming from, I think, this get main table. Yep, sales sequence meta. We are getting our meta ID. This load, so this meta is meta sales sequence table. So this is where the table we can load it from. Entity type, etc., etc. Okay, that's pretty easy. Get next value. This insert. Okay, so basically we're inserting a new value into the sales sequence 1 table, I think, order sequence 1 table, and we're going to fetch the next number value for that. This return current value. All right, so here is the critical one right here. So I hope you're paying attention because this is very important. Let's look at it. All right, so this pattern, basically it's going to inject all these values into the pattern that we have here. Okay, so this is what we're coming out. That's the result of it. Here is this lots of zeros and then a 4. But the pattern, the default pattern is this right here. And of course, this might not make sense, but this is a sprintf pattern, and we can customize this. The one thing I notice is this 0, 9 here. If we can, so we can customize exactly how this pattern, or what pattern we referenced here. Let's pull this out, and I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. All right, 0, 4. So let's drop this down to 5. We can add a 1 at the beginning of it if we want. Oopsie. We're going to change it however we want, right? So this is very important for understanding. Yes, then you'll see that we do have a couple of values past this. So we can change the pattern of how this sprintf is rendered, but then we can also change different values that go into that. So we have the active profile get prefix. Okay, actually, the prefix is something that's not. Okay, calculate current value. I think this active profile, if I remember correctly, of this meta, get active profile. Okay, yeah, and that comes from the database. So yeah, that is a way to customize the order ID. So this is very important to understand how that works. And this only happens as you dig into this. So very important as well. Quote get is virtual. Hey, Rotary. All right, Dan, good to see you here. All right, so quote is virtual. You'll see we're starting to convert objects from a quote address or quote to order objects. Okay, now we're setting values on the order itself. We're validating the order before this order is submitted. This order management place order. Of course, we have some plugins here. But at this point, the order is pretty much fully set. Okay, order place. More plugins. Place payment. Now, this is the important part of this payment place because at this time, we have payment. Oops, we don't need to track that too closely. Okay, so at this point, we are configuring the values to be sent to our invoice, to create an invoice, to possibly create an invoice. So let's step through and see exactly how this works. Set amount ordered, this total due, et cetera, and these are some important levers for controlling how much is actually invoiced at a time. So method, the payment method instance. Okay, now the action is very important. So the action determines whether an invoice is created now, whether an invoice is created later. When the invoice is created, this is when we capture the funds from the customer. So whether that is in the form of, for a credit card, the funds are captured when an invoice is created. So we can have that happen at the time of the order creation. But in this case, it does not happen. Let's see, initialize this process action, and this is where it would then collect the this capture, depending on what method or mode the action is set to. But in this case, it's just barely changing stuff because it's check money order. Not much to go see there. But I would suggest getting a Braintree Sandbox account and running through that process with that. And now we have some plugins, etc. So I think that covers pretty much what I was hoping to investigate when it comes to using these for placing orders. Any final questions? I know we've gone a few minutes over. That's okay. But again, it's been absolutely a pleasure to be with you here today. I'm going to miss our study groups, our times together, but I look forward to continuing this on a monthly basis going forward, and I'll figure out, we'll do something standard, maybe the first Saturday of every month. Or I appreciate your feedback if it would work better to do it in an afternoon once a month, like on a weekday afternoon. But I guess for those of you in Europe, that causes some problems. So I'm very keen to know when it works best to have these. If there's topics you want to discuss, me to dive into with you, the couple that I'm going to look at is Elasticsearch, becoming masters of that. And I think we can get a pretty good covered pretty well. Coding standards, how to write excellent and readable code. There's just a lot we can go through. So I'm looking forward to, yes. Yep, I understand. I apologize. I hate being sick on these live times, but I hope it's better than not having it at all. Xdebug sessions, definitely, absolutely. We should do that. We'll have some Xdebug conversations and making sure that we are everyone is very knowledgeable about how to use Xdebug, because boy, that will revolutionize your capability as a developer. Any other final questions before we call this quits today? And remember, I will be, PHP Storm, absolutely. Yeah, PHP Storm, just even, how to use some of this stuff. And I know I'm going to learn a lot as I dive in more. Like, we all get into these ruts. We have these things that work. That's all we do is just what we do. And so there is lots of efficiencies that I know we can gain through this process. Excellent. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call it quits for today. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you all, and I look forward to, as I'm kind of riffing here off the top of my mind, it'll probably be the first Saturday of every month that we will be getting back together and studying something new. And it won't necessarily be just for certifications, because while I love helping people with certifications, I've also seen there's much more information that people need as well, just for ongoing improvement. I need it myself. And it was really fascinating. I have to say this before I close out. I did a podcast with somebody recently. I can't remember who it was, but they made the great comment that they, even though they were fairly senior, maybe they were a senior developer, they always worked to view themselves as a junior developer, because that meant the world was new, it was open, it was available for them at that point. So yeah, that was pretty. That was a great way to look at this. So, anyways, it is a pleasure to be with you all today. I wish you a wonderful Saturday, a wonderful week, and I'll look forward to being with you all on the first Saturday of May, hopefully, unless you all come back with lots of advice saying, "Hey, let's do it at another time," and I will do it then. So, anyways, take care. Good. It was good talking with you all.